fellas. How y'all doing? This is from Sideline2Baseline. This boy MB and K. Lou is not here. He's hey man, celebrating Valentine's Day, man. You know, try to get in where he fit in. But hey man, we got my man Double A sending the Rams, holding it down. Sending the Rams, huh? Wow,
Yeah.
okay. And then what's that about, Double A? Talk to me about
Yeah,
that.
you know, the sending the clowns, man. It's L.A., man. It was a clown show going on yesterday in that stadium, as far as I'm concerned. But
all right. Oh well. Oh man, we got to hear more about that from his opinion. And then what you got there, my man Jason? What you got? Cup received. Over. Talk to me, man. It seems like you doing communion over there, man, with Cup or something.
I was just saying, like before the show, that we here in the great nation of Caucasia fully support our Super Bowl MVP, and you know, it's I don't know if y'all play any video games, but like in Killer Instinct, it's nice to have a combo breaker every now and then, and get the rare white receiver pulling it off, holding it down, just enough to keep us relevant. So we appreciate it.
All right. Man, let's jump into that. So I know he got your vote. So did they get it right? I mean, Aaron Donald. I mean, Cup. I mean, what you think? I know what you think, but go ahead. We'll let you say it again.
I would say the argument against Aaron Donald is they couldn't have done it without Cup because OBJ got hurt.
Yeah.
If OBJ had not gotten hurt, they may not have needed it to be Cup or nothing. But if we're being honest, they don't win that game without Cooper Kupp. They barely won it without OBJ. So I think because of OBJ getting hurt, man, that's the Cooper Kupp Super Bowl right there. I don't know who else would make that catch, who else would get them on that last drive. So I think because of that, I think it's the same reason why Stafford didn't get it. Because how can the guy getting it from the guy throwing it get it? You know what I mean? I think.
Yeah. Also, Stafford had 2 interceptions, so one of them wasn't his fault.
So
go ahead.
If OBJ hadn't gotten hurt, then he would get some targets on that final drive. Maybe he catch it. He caught the touchdown before. Maybe then Aaron Donald. But just because OBJ got hurt, it had to go all on Kupp's shoulders.
I would say back up a second. That's the fastest I've seen OBJ in 3-4 years. That slant across the middle, he was moving. So I mean, I thought he would have wound up being in the MVP regardless because he looked like he was there to play.
Yeah, he started off on fire. He was having a great game, man.
So you could have split it between Kupp and Donald if they do such a thing. I think they did that a few years or 1 year. Maybe with the Cowboys they split it between people or something. In one of the Super Bowls, the MVP, I can't remember.
Dallas the last time a defensive player got it?
It was James Washington or Larry Brown or
something. Well, no, what's the name got it?
Harrison?
Von Miller got it.
Oh, Von, that's right.
Yeah, Von Miller got it. The only reason I know because they kept saying he got it last when they won it, so.
Yeah. I mean, what was OBJ on track for when he went out? The touch.
He had 52 yards, a touchdown, and 2 receptions. And that was what, first quarter.
With 3 targets, just 3 targets. But I mean, he definitely was having a good game, man. Hate to see him go down with the injury like that.
Well, they had the number 2 on him. To be fair, they had their 1 on Kupp. So
who's their 1?
Their 1 is that kid White. I think his last name.
No, they was doubling Kupp. They was doing. I mean, obviously OBJ. I mean, if I'm going into game plan, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna focus on Kupp and make OBJ beat you.
And he almost did.
And he showed up. He took advantage of that. You know what I'm saying? And then especially when he went out, it was just like Cincinnati was shutting down Kupp. I mean, they was shutting it down. And I was trying to find out though, but I think because they start going to zone, and I think the reason is they lost a corner. I was trying to see that the corner got hurt. I remember he was on the sideline hurt. I don't know if he went back in the game because I was like, why are they wanting so much zone there? Huh?
Awuzie?
Yes. Did he come back in the game?
I thought he had a pick late, didn't he? Or was that he had the pick in the second half?
I couldn't find it, but I saw him on the sideline, and I was like, man, their top corner was out. and I've been trying to research Super Bowl injury because for the life of me, because Cincinnati does a great job. Because I was like, man, I wonder what halftime adjustment is going to make defensively, because they do a great job of of making adjustment and getting it done, implemented right away. And then they was going man, and then all of a sudden they just started going zone, and I was like, why are they going zone? What's going on? And I couldn't understand it, what was going on. They started running a lot of cover two, and in the first half they was mixing it up, but they was definitely doubling Cup
Right.
on third downs. They was taking it. They was like, he not gonna beat us, somebody else got to beat us.
Right.
And they had to get away from that couple things. I thought because the injury, the guy went down. Then also the Rams did a great job of just running the ball, even though they couldn't run the ball. The threat of running it, forced them to do some different stuff. But yeah, I thought that.
He did come back. I apologize. He came back.
Come back.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the box score. You had 17 defensive players for Cincinnati that recorded a stat.
Yeah, I couldn't understand why they ran a whole lot of zone and they couldn't double Cup, because I mean,
Al Golden,
zone, he was making things happen. What'd you say?
I said Al Golden. I had to go there. Sorry, but I'll give Al Golden credit. The Cincinnati linebackers played out of their head. So
man, they've been playing well the whole postseason. They've been showing up, man. They did a good job, and you talk about another. I think was that you, Jason? It was that you were saying, like,
no,
man, somebody said
it was me. It was Wilson. Yeah, Wilson.
Yeah, he was making some plays on the run game and pass game, and then that pass interference in real live action. You saw it, but when you slowed it down, it didn't look.
No,
I mean, especially when you look at. It seemed like the ref was letting everybody play. They wasn't calling that. It's so sensitive. I.e., because when you talk about like Jalen, when he covered the dude in the end zone, he grabbed him. He had and they didn't call that. And obviously they didn't call on I guess payback or something, because
but
they didn't call it.
Right.
So you thought it was like letting them play. And so that call, especially when you slowed it down, he's like, "Oh, that was not." I think they ended up calling like 4 penalties that drive alone.
Yeah, they were on their ninth down.
They called that. He's like, "Oh no,"
That brings up something I've said to Kevin before, and I think MB can speak to it. I feel like linebackers are held to a different standard with pass interference. It feels like cornerbacks can get more handsy, or the effects of a linebacker getting handsy, you know what I mean? Because do you agree that it just seems like, even a safety, it just seems like they will let, Super Bowl or not, a cornerback hand fighting with a receiver, the little hand on the hip, the one when they're coming across, those are kind of let go far more than if a linebacker or even a safety does it. It just seems consistently that way.
It could be, I mean, obviously being a linebacker, yeah, I'm definitely going to agree with you. But it could be that way. Then, as far as no credit, because he's actually was on a linebacker was on a receiver, so it was like, he had to do something to cover him,
Yeah.
But yeah, so who knows but yeah, it could be a little conspiracy. Especially showing no linebacker no love, man. Like LL Cool J, we need love, man. Show those LB some love in there, man. But that was when you slowed it down. That was, man. That
it was beyond ticky tack.
Based on how they called the game, at least make it consistent,
Yeah.
And
that's not a week 3 penalty.
Yeah, yeah.
But what bothered me most was of the 4 penalties, whatever they called in that last 2.5 minutes down there, under the 10 or the 20-yard line. The one call they didn't call was the false start. I don't know if that was on the same play as the defensive PI, but I mean, there was a blatant Rams false start that
was it?
Yeah, I don't know if it was in
myself.
It was like, what are you guys doing? So so I got the makeup call on the PI, but when you're calling everything else and you don't call the pass interference, that's when I mean sending the clowns. I mean, there was just a lot of. Well, the number came in at 23-20, came in right on a point under 44, which was the over under. You had the whole I'm not conspiracy. I just, I see it. I call it like I see it. You have a holder who, all of a sudden drops the point after attempt. There was just
but they wouldn't know. But they wouldn't no call a false start for that though. Like because if they were being aggressive with the calls, like a PI, they'd be aggressive with a false start. You know what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying. I think it's just pressure the Super Bowl, and if you think about it, if that referee hesitates for a second, how many times we've seen him go for a flag and then stop? It feels like they realize I wasn't decisive enough. Better let it go. Like, it just kind of feels like that. So
in the old days, they wouldn't have called any penalties. Anything goes down there when the Super Bowl's on the line. That's the way I remember the game. So to see the flags start coming out of nowhere when they even Al Michaels and Collinsworth, mentioned it, goes, there haven't been any penalties. I mean, the only guy who got a penalty in the first half was Vernon Hargraves.
No, it was actually 3 penalties. The first half was the leg game. And I think it was a false start, and it was Vernon Hargraves.
Right.
I mean, what was that? You talking? I was like, point save. I mean, what was he? My man celebrated. He what? He reminded me of when we were in college and we got redshirted, right? And when the dude come to the sideline and somebody make a good play, like all the dudes that's not in the game or haven't played or redshirted, they in the look, they in there, And he reminded me of that when we was redshirted, or you knew you wasn't playing, right? And anytime somebody make a good play, you made sure you was around them. Hey man, hey, great job, and hey, look at the camera, get on TV.
He got on TV.
He ran off the sideline to get on the field, and he ran right all the way in the front. And I'm like, what in the world? It's like, I don't know. It's almost somebody like say truth or dare. Man, I dare you. Somebody can make a good play. I dare you to go on the field.
It seems like it definitely seems like it would add to the small market team versus big market team conspiracy of those, because like MB said, the red flag is, no pun intended, on it's not consistent with how the game was called until that moment. Yeah. So it's almost double bad because now you've, mentally trained a Cincinnati defender all game. This is how you can play. Now all of a sudden you can't. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so the small market versus big market officiating that shows up. There's never been that big call that the small market of all the bad calls we've got that we can all complain about. Whether or not Dez caught it or the tuck rule or just why has there never been one where Cleveland got one over Dallas? You know what I'm saying? So it's true. Yeah. It's true. You play for New York and you can't you can't jump in on here.
No, I'm just saying. Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I definitely brought it up. But you can look at this game though, like the one on Ramsey, like the guy pulled his face mask. That's Cincinnati getting a, and that was the first play of the third quarter.
I would say visually, in the first play of the third quarter, that one I could see that getting missed. The ref was on this side of it. So
you got the sideline judge.
Besides him.
Or the back, whatever you call him, the guy. You got somebody back judge watching that,
Mm-hmm. I just meant just the sideline referee couldn't see it. The other guy should see it.
You got somebody to sign to watch that position, and that was because they did a switch route, and it was on ramp, because I was like, he shouldn't even throw that ball. I mean, Jalen was right there.
What's worse, a no call or a bad call? What's worse? You know what I mean? That? Like a no call or a bad call? What's worse?
It depends on who you're looking at. Yeah, I mean, if you Cincinnati Bengals, no call is great. You got it.
Yeah. But you had the issue in New Orleans a couple of years ago with the pass interference on
but that fits into his conspiracy theory about big market team, small market team.
But didn't the NFL fix this? Couldn't a McVay challenge that, or is that not a challengeable
you could challenge call? It. Now that's what's the problem. I thought you could challenge for PI, right? If you think it's PI.
That's what I thought. If you saw the replay, why aren't you challenging that?
I don't know. That's a good point, because that's what I thought the same thing too. Because I thought that's what came up with the Rams game, that you could challenge. I mean, the Rams Saints game, what happened? I thought I could be wrong, but I agree with you, Double. I I think that was what came out of it, but I could be wrong.
You can't challenge on a scoring play.
Huh?
You can't challenge on a scoring play. It has to be initiated by the booth, I thought.
So that's a bigger problem.
Well, they review all touchdowns to make sure it's a touchdown, but I'm talking about as far as PI is concerned.
No, I know.
You challenge. Somebody research it right quick. Can you challenge?
I don't think you can. I don't think a coach can initiate a challenge for any reason on a scoring play.
But all scoring plays are reviewed. So why isn't that booth?
Exactly.
Why isn't that booth saying something?
But I'm saying that's more to the conspiracy part. That's more to they did not initiate the review. I don't think Sean McVay. I don't think he could have challenged.
Could we?
I think.
When we see that, because that's a.
I believe we've seen, because I think I've heard of this before, just during a regular season game. I can't remember what it was. It was a couple years ago. I remember the explanation. A couple plays into that following series, I remember the commentator saying the reason why the opposing coach could not initiate the challenge was because it was a play that scored. And a coach, I don't think, can initiate a challenge for any reason on a scoring play. Any challenge regarding that play must come from the booth, since they review it anyway.
So while Mike is looking at that, I'll say a few other things, especially watching Mike and playing for all those Miami teams in college football these years. You knew you could never leave the game to the rest because there was theoretically a bias. Cincinnati had the chance to put that game away and go up 2 scores. That's what's going to eat them for the next 20 years if he doesn't get back there. Are they destined to be there as a young team? Yeah, they've got a D, they've got a quarterback and a receiver of the future. So there's a good chance they're back, but still, to make that run, you know how hard everything's got to fall into place for that to happen. They
were aggressive. They went forward on 4th and 1.
They went for it. The weak call was the 3rd down on the last drive, the handoff to Perrine. I thought that was a waste of call. But then again, could Burrow not, even scramble? Could you not done some sort of run pass option there?
That was a terrible call, and you lost the timeout over it.
Yeah,
it was a terrible call.
So, the bigger problem I had with that Cincinnati coach, just from inexperience, was the first drive, the going for it on 4th down on the 50. I'm like, why give Stafford a short field? Why give him, the ability to get within the red zone with one throw? You're handing that to him right off the bat. And then he went for it on 4th down again on in the 3rd quarter when they wound up with a field goal. But you take the field goal and you were up 7 or whatever it was at that point,
What's that with who?
The Cincinnati coach. He had 2 4th down calls. Well, the first drive of the game, the first series, he was on the 50-yard line. I didn't. Why would you ever hand Stafford that kind of field position and let him get in a rhythm? Play the odds there. And then in the 3rd quarter, when they had the interception and they got down into the 20, they went for it on 4th down because I think they wanted to go for the touchdown. They wound up getting a field goal out of that possession, but it didn't come till a couple plays later. I just thought, put your 3 points on the board, and you get up. You just keep putting points up on the board until you can. So,
yep. I mean, they truly could not have had a better start to the second half.
No, that was it almost unraveled for the Rams, and then you were about one play away from putting the lights out on them real quick, and it could have turned into a blowout. So
it was funny because we was texting.
Yeah,
when we texted during the game, and in the first quarter we was like, "Oh, Rams by 40." And then 3rd quarter, I know Bengals by 40. I mean, they came out because you was thinking like, man, they got that play, and then then the Rams offense was like couldn't get going in the 3rd quarter. I mean, they was doubling cup, they couldn't run the ball. Yep. So he was like, man, kiss the baby, it's over. It didn't look good at all. And then they, like I said, they got on track and got going, but it didn't look at all. And then the Rams defense, man, turned it up. I mean, how about that?
Yeah, they definitely
had
did.
like 5 sacks in the 3rd quarter. I mean, after that, you take away that one play that Ramsey called, whether you agree with it or not.
Right.
But then after that, man, I mean, when Cincinnati started passing the ball, I mean, when they know they had to pass, the Rams defense was chopping at the bit, man. They had like 5 sacks that 3rd quarter alone. Because the first half, Cincinnati did a good job. He was getting the ball out quick. But then what I pointed out, they was also running the ball as well to change it up. And then, but when it was a known passing situation, like i.e. the end of the first half 2-minute drill where they know they got to pass the ball, that defense, I mean, that you could tell it's saying it's going to be a problem because they couldn't handle that pressure, you know?
Right.
Joe Mixon played well.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon was on track to be the MVP of that game almost. I mean, the guy, but it just seemed like it felt like when LA got that field goal to close the gap, it felt like Cincinnati, it almost felt like LA got the lead. It felt like Cincinnati was like, we don't have enough points.
Yeah.
They went into put more on the board mode as opposed to run out the game mode. And I mean, it's still, I'll be honest with you, it still feels weird even saying Cincinnati was in the Super Bowl. So, some of the playing with house money part maybe comes into it. I can't really think of another recent Super Bowl, ironically, since Carolina Denver, where a small market team was in the big game against a traditional large market team. So, but that was kind of flipped. Carolina was really dominant that year. Denver really kind of was the galvanized, limp into the playoffs team. So in this case, it was just, I don't know. Maybe do you think some of that playing with house money mentality caused them to go 1 for 3 on fourth down unnecessarily? I don't know.
I thought Mixon was a gash or two away from breaking one. And I was just looking at his box score. He on the ground, he had a nice day. 15 carries, 72 yards, almost 5 yards a carry.
Yeah.
What's misleading is that he had 5 receptions for 1 yard. So he had 20 touches, but he did nothing in the air. He was just the bailout. So the Rams,
and that's what they were
happy
getting
with
away
that.
from.
Yeah.
So
you say what? What'd you say?
That was with them kind of getting away from him towards the end. So stick with it. He could have got more.
Yeah, because that third quarter, then they came one time, they ran the ball, he got like 10 yards on the pop, and then they ended up scoring that drive. It's just getting rid of the negative plays, man. Him running the ball. I mean, it took the pressure off the Rams. It made them have to expect the run, But when they got in known passing situations, that Ram D line was eating, man.
This is a pretty telling stat for that Rams D line. They held the Bengals to 3 for 14 on third down.
Oh yeah.
So they shut them down.
And I mean, besides the 7 sacks, they had 14 pressures or something like that, or some crazy numbers, and they had hits on the quarterback. I know Aaron Donald, he had like 7 pressures just alone. He had a team high 7 pressures. So I don't know. That's why I don't know. They should have made him co-MVP, man. I mean, because you look at, I agree with you saying about Kupp. I mean, especially he got rolling, and 2 touchdowns. OBJ being out, and not counting the other guys. Like you put the other guys, they had other guys that was on the milk carton that really wasn't doing anything. For the most part,
the 4th and 1 reverse was probably more important than the touchdown.
Oh yeah, that big play. Yeah, he made that was
on his own.
Play. Yeah. That was a great play call on a jet sweep. The receiver made a good job of blocking. He turned it up. Man, it was, and it's one catch, 4th quarter on that drive. Where they went 15, 16 play drive to score. I mean, he was showing up, man. But
Von Miller had some plays.
Huh?
Von Miller did make some plays.
Oh, initially that's what I thought. I didn't even realize that Aaron Donald had 2 sacks. I know Von Miller had 2 sacks, and then Robinson was showing up in the run game earlier. He was doing it, and but you knew it's no different where they were saying, okay, Coop is not going to beat us on offense, and Aaron Donald's not going to beat us on defense. I mean, they was doubling, tripling them, and the Rams, to their credit, they started doing some overload stuff to try to guarantee that he can get single block or at least double at the worst, Even on that sack or pressure at the end of the game, 2 people was on him. The center turned that way, the guard, and he still was able to beat him, man. It was just 1-2. Because the last 2 plays of the game, he made him. Remember, he the one that stopped the dude on 3rd and 1.
Oh, yeah.
With one arm.
Pushed the guard back into set him, and end up making a play. Then he turned around and make that play. So, 2 sacks, 7 quarterback pressures. 4 tackles, big plays. That's what I'm saying.
So Perrine had those last 2 plays. The first one was a run, and that last one was the bailout throw. What do you saying to that guy? I mean, people are on him for not diving for that ball. It looked like he was just out there on another, just on a lazy Sunday day.
Who? When Joe Burrows threw it up.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't dive for that ball. He didn't, you do anything you can. It just looked like, you realize what's on the line here. He just looked like he was
on the barbed wire, man. You got to lay on there and go get it.
Right.
Lay on the grenade, man. Lay on the grenade.
Huh?
Do whatever you got.
It didn't look like he could have got there.
It looked like he could have got there. He looked like, man.
Oh, I didn't even.
Oh yeah,
I saw it live. Maybe
that's how impressive what Burrow did, spinning out of that grasp. He's like, he still put that ball where that guy could have made a play.
Oh shoot! Let me go back and look.
Pull it up and see.
Yeah,
I remember thinking it was pretty far off, but maybe I'm.
No.
I just remember thinking like, well,
it was hit.
Aaron Donald on you. How could you throw it?
Hey, and why you pull that up? You can't. A pass interference is not a reviewable call. It was only for one season.
So
it was only for one season.
What's going to happen in the offseason rules
for
committee?
One season after that, Saints, and they tried it for one season, but it's not a reviewable call.
Oh, so they did do it for one season, and then they didn't keep it. That's what I was confused by.
Yep.
So that came back into it again.
Yep.
They gotta fix that gap. That's
he
a
was
problem.
Stumbling.
Huh?
He was already stumbling.
He was stumbling. I'm not saying he was perfectly balanced, but it just looked like, dude, you get on your back.
I mean, if you're already, he was already starting to stumble. He didn't really have like a launching point because he was stumbling. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he was already bent over stumbling. It appeared. But I could see what you're saying though. I mean, it definitely seemed like I'm watching it again. Yeah.
It was even the run on third down. It was like he ran right into that tackle on third down on the 3rd and 1. I'm like, dude, this is the Super Bowl. You hurdle, you dive, you do whatever it takes to get that first down.
Yeah.
You go over the top as far as I'm concerned. But
I mean, when you talking about do whatever you take, I mean, what's your thought? I mean, what could Cincinnati did better, did more to win this game?
I don't know. That drive where Mixon was getting 7 yards on those off tackles, and he was slashing a little bit. That even on that last drive, Chase, that first catch where he went up the sideline, I felt like if he didn't run out of bounds and turned it in, he could have kept going.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, against that kind of defense, because that was obviously a great defense. They did a good job. They came within one score of putting that team away.
Yeah.
On offense and on defense, you got to give their defense credit because, out of nowhere, 4 flags on a final drive. That defense did a good job.
First and goal.
How many chances are you going to give a team?
Just the one was questionable. The other ones you can see
they're legit, but
or agree or disagree.
Well, not the way the game had been called, though.
Right.
They definitely seem like, because that other one was just a hand on a hip, which, okay, week 10 is a call, but it wasn't in quarter 1. Like, you know what I mean? So, conspiracies. I like my tinfoil hat. It's comfy. You see Sean McVay's comments after the Super Bowl? He's already talking about early retirement.
Legitimately, he is.
Yeah.
He thinks he's Madden, huh?
He spoke in depth about it.
Oh, did he? And what did he say?
Just saying how, now that he's achieved, I mean, he wasn't saying he's out next year, but he absolutely touched on and in depth went into personal fulfillment and how this job eats away at you and how he's a young guy. He wants to have a family and how this job does not allow much for that and how he has seen his peers sacrifice family time. It's odd to hear from him because I guess he doesn't have yet a family. So it sounds like a dude with a girlfriend just needs to kind of, hey, it ain't that great, trust me. But I think he kind of needs to, but he brought it up out of nowhere. Certainly nobody asked a 36-year-old, coach, hey, you hanging it up? So for him to entirely insert the topic, that's kind of weird.
But they did talk to him about it before the game. So that's why it came up. a couple
About
of days
retirement?
before the game.
Yeah, he had
Yeah,
mentioned something.
he did an interview
Yeah.
because he's been engaged to be married for whatever. He's supposed to got married in 2020, and it got postponed.
The pandemic,
COVID, and then now I think he's getting married now this year. And so he talked about like what you're saying about the family and all that. So that since he talked about that, then that's been out there for a couple of days. I believe it was a couple of days, right? Double A, where that's been out. So he had to go ahead and address it. You know, I thought
the way
after the game they was going to ask him about it. I thought the reporter was going to ask him about it because I didn't know Aaron Donald was considered retiring. The lady asked him. So I thought they was going to ask him, but they didn't. So I could see why he brought it up to try to bring some clarity, but obviously he didn't bring
without
clarity.
knowing that, the way it just sort of came up, it was kind of like, whoa, this dude's out. So not having known that previous story, it certainly looked weird, but now
if you think about it, it wouldn't be the first time. Vermeil did it after the Eagles in 80, and Madden obviously did it. It ate him apart. But Madden had so many years trying to even get there. By the time he won it, he was like, "That's it. I'm going out on top." So listen, he's got a face for TV. And obviously can talk. So it's a much nicer life. A lot less stress, a lot less ulcers. So
Andrew Luck, 29, walked away. Luke Kuechly walked away in his early 30s. I mean, he wasn't. Luke Kuechly had 5 years left. Calvin Johnson. So there's something to be said, like not even needing to win it all to walk away, really,
I think the world has changed in the last 2 years, so people's perspective on quality of life and where that places, as far as, what the ultimate driver is, that's why even, Burrow, look at Dan Marino. He got to the Super Bowl as a rookie. You don't know if he'll ever get back. They're set up to be a young team. I was thinking about it. I remember when we did our picks at the beginning of the year, my pick was an all LA Super Bowl. I thought it would be the Rams versus the Chargers. The Rams made it, but the other young team, I thought it would have been Haybert or Herbert. I didn't know Burrow would come on like this after a knee injury.
Did you go back and look at our picks?
No, I remember it.
Yeah,
I thought LA, and the Super Bowl was in LA. I was like, all LA Super Bowl. So
right. I don't think nobody chose the Bengals.
No.
Hey, you're gonna go back and I'll edit it. I'll edit the audio, but it'll be obvious.
Cincinnati Bengals.
You guys, I knew it.
Now, one thing I didn't come close to picking the score.
Yeah, you came closest.
Yeah, I because you remember you said 24-21 Bengals, right? And I said 24-21 Rams. So
you win that.
Point share, I would have had 1 point if the holder would have.
Yeah.
See, he was watching our show.
I did. I was way off. I think I called it 31-20. I thought the Rams would have kept going, and they looked like it. But OBJ.
I mean, the injuries. I mean, that. I mean, who would have predicted that? I mean, especially OBJ. God forbid. I mean, they're saying now that he possibly tore his ACL in the same knee.
Same knee against the same team.
That was the same team as well. Wow,
that's freaky.
Man, you feel for that guy, man. I mean, he was on the sideline just boo-hoo crying. I mean, crying because you can see it's sad after he got hurt. Even when he came back, he was sad. But then, I mean, just the cycle of emotions. They won the game and all that stuff, man. That's just tough.
He needed that thing that Kanye was wearing.
I mean, you got to think what he's been through. He started out the year in Cleveland.
Roller coaster, man. And he's got a baby. He was having a baby born last night or any minute. So, but that first touchdown and then that streak across the middle, I was like, man, I haven't seen him run like that in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, playoff wise, he been starting to get in his groove, starting to find his rhythm.
Yeah.
I mean, he's making stuff happen,
How do you think Deshaun Jackson feels right now?
I know, right?
They could have used him yesterday, boy. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All that, catch 2 crossing routes in a playoff game.
Right.
Good job, buddy. And that's his hometown. That was the weirdest part. How you force your way out of your home team? Isn't he from the Southern California area?
I don't know. I think he
You
is
sure?
definitely from California, but I don't know. I don't know if he's from Southern California. But I mean, you're right though. I mean, you look at it, but he wanted to get being more involved. You know, he wanted, but instead he hit the transfer portal, man. Like because
and he's still in it.
Yeah.
You know,
That,
I mean,
gosh, that what a twist of fate. OBJ and Deshaun Jackson to switch places. Because OBJ didn't choose Cleveland. He was shipped there, and then didn't his buddy leave, Jarvis Landry? Or no, he's still there.
Landry's still there.
Yeah.
So that's tough, man. And then I mean, OBJ. It's just sad because now he's hurt, and now his contract's expired. I mean, he talked about like he wanted to come back to Rams. He'll take a pay. He'll take less money to come back around. Now he may not have he may be forced to anyway.
Don't forget this, Mike. He took his salary in crypto. He netted $35,000 after tax.
Yeah, was it that bad? I don't know if it's 30 because I saw something earlier.
I'll send you the article.
Playoff 35,000 now.
Yeah, it was 35 regular season. I don't know what with the playoff money, what it amounts to now.
Yeah, well, I know he's got some bonuses. He got for them winning a Super Bowl. I think he got $1 million bonus for that.
Yeah, so there you go.
That's why he was crying.
I hope it wasn't paid in crypto.
but check this out, though. I mean, if he wouldn't got hurt and just continue to play a great game, I mean, he revitalized his career. Like he proved did he prove that he's still a number one receiver? Did he prove that?
He proved a motivated OBJ is still a number one receiver.
Yeah.
But now you got a two knees.
Same knee.
It's the same knee. Yeah. Now I've seen it been done, and the dude that's did it, man, was back to you, Frank Gore.
But it changed his style. Changed his whole entire style of how he ran, right?
Yeah, Frank Gore, he did it. He responded back from 2 ACL injuries, and man, had playing almost 20 years in the league, whatever he playing, still could play.
Now he's fighting.
So
hey, Odell's dad though, lighting up a cigar last night. Remember? Troublemaker, why you making things worse? Why you posting all this? I don't know. Just wanted to get my son a ring, that's all. Take care, Baker.
Yeah. Man, look at that. And you talk about that. And who else? Like, I know it's funny. I think you texted Jason, like, Stratford, even his best game, he got 2 picks. You know what I'm saying? Like,
always.
But I mean, but this win here, right? It helps his career as well, Oh, yeah. I know they talking about, saying, does he deserve to be in Yellow Jacket? I wouldn't go there. I don't know. I don't think so. But I mean, this helps him. This helps him. He's got that ring, man. To back up the numbers, and it helps him. He revitalized his career because you think about it. I mean, because even then, like you made the trade for him, and then they started off on fire, and then it seemed like he regressed, started throwing picks. I mean, shoot, he led the league in picks. Or tied him and Trevor Lawrence, right?
Yeah.
And then he threw 2 picks in that, but I mean that drive. That last drive, he put together. I don't think he got enough credit for that. I know Cup did, but he made some great reads. And that's why I said they was playing zone defense. He got the ball. He put the ball in the right place.
Did you see the look away he threw to Coop over the middle? I don't know if that was in the last drive or if that was in the first half.
That was that one drive. You talking about? It was towards the end. It was part of that 15-play drive. I think
it was part of that. Wow, that was gorgeous.
I think he hit him in stride.
What he did was he took himself out of that Matt Ryan tier that he was in Detroit, where he had – because Matthew Stafford is, if I'm not mistaken, he's top 10 all-time career passing yards. He may be number 9, but it's from length of career in Detroit. And so he had longevity put his name into some all-time discussions from just all of those years – throwing for 4,400 yards in a 10-loss season in Detroit.
From playing from behind.
Yeah, and then Matt Ryan, Matt Ryan is, I think, number 11 all-time career passing yards, but nobody will ever he won't even get voted.
Can't
to not
mention
get.
his name. You can't mention this name on this show with K. Lou's around.
Okay, Lou, get him.
So I think Matthew Stafford took it because before going into this season, before the trade, I don't think anybody, everybody would have thought Matt Ryan, Matthew Stafford. Stafford's a little bit better or a lot better arm talent, but same quarterback.
Right.
Different sides of the same coin. So he took his name there.
Fair enough. That's a good transition for us to talk about Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, because let me say this. I mean, because I know you talk about K. Lou was killing him. Because when K. Lou say, he started off well, but let's see how he handled that pressure, And then showed him, I think K. Lou put the K. Lou jinx on him. And then he started throwing some picks. And that's the thing, because you look at, when you look at the Rams and the 49ers, the last game, you like, man, which quarterback? They keep both him and Jimmy G. They keep both making mistakes, and the team got to overcome their mistakes to win. And he's like, man, and then right there with the Super Bowl, you see him when he threw that one pick. The receiver Jefferson could have helped him out coming back to the ball, and that when you got to transition, and now you got to be the DB.
But he still tried to force that one. You can see it.
But I mean, he told him to go back, but and he tried to force it. But I say Jefferson could have helped him out and try to transition play DB, but that was a point shaving move. And then the other ones though, it wasn't on him. So, but he definitely. And you look at the Tampa Bay, so he's trying to erase that memory because that Tampa Bay game, right, where they blitzed him with that zero. I mean, for him to
he chucked it. Yep,
he chucked it. That was a great play. And I think based on now, he went from not winning a playoff game to now have tied. I read somewhere where he tied somebody for game-winning drives. He's got 3 game-winning drives in the playoff.
That's impressive. So, you take away the interceptions. The guy threw for 3 touchdowns in the Super Bowl.
You know who could not have made that throw against Tampa Bay? Who physically could not have? Matt Ryan. So just from an arm strength standpoint. So being the different side of the same coin was the difference. Matt Ryan gets traded to LA, wild card team. Maybe they don't win the division. Check down Charlie can only get you so far, man. So
come on, Matt. You hate
too. The year they went to the Super Bowl, he broke the record by far for passes completed within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, and that wasn't good enough. And passes completed to running backs and tight ends. He earned check down Charlie. He's number one check down.
Joe Montana won 4 Super Bowls with that.
Yeah, the West Coast offense.
He broke the record for most completions to a running back or tight end, and most completions within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage all time. So, and he's number 8 all time on all-time passing.
He got to be more than a check down Charlie. Because look, you're right. I'm looking at his numbers now. Top 10 career passing. Matty Ice is 8th. So he's doing a little bit more than just checking down. I know
he's just checking down a lot.
Julio Jones was catching some deep. He's doing more. And then Matthew Stafford was 12th on the list. Aaron Rodgers is 10th on the list.
That's what's crazy. Is Stafford's got as many Super Bowls as Aaron Rodgers now.
Yep.
So I think the craziest thing I saw all weekend is that Brady's not really retired yet. That he's talking about going back home to San Mateo.
We just can't tolerate DeHaven if that happens. It's the entire there's no way. Could you imagine I'll be honest. I love petty. I love it. I'm toxic, and so the pettiness to go get Jimmy G's job after you already shipped him out of town. Did they have a bad conversation in the locker room one day?
I don't think it's about Jimmy G. I think that's his hometown. That's where he grew up watching Joe. That's his dream.
I need it to be petty. It's so much more interesting.
Oh no, let me ask you a question. Would you think if he make that move, right? Since we hypothetical, do you think it would be viewed in a negative response? In the sense of now you leaving Tampa now to go to 49ers, you got submarines already. Would it
be
the
way of the world?
Durant?
It's the way of the world now.
Leaving the Thunders to go to the Warriors. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not to say, because you look at San Francisco and you like, you're optimistic, like, man, they got this far with Jimmy G.
Yep.
You know, like Brady put him over the hump. You know,
Right.
but I mean, what's your thoughts on
same
that?
Same with the Rams with Stafford and Goff. You know, where's Jared Goff last night? He's in a shell somewhere.
But Brady isn't going to the teams that beat him, so it ain't really the can't beat him, join him. Brady needed to get away to prove it was him. He did that. So really, it's more about accomplishments, in my view of the things he's doing. It's kind of like no one can say he's not loyal. He spent 100 years in New England. He gave them everything, owes them nothing. So goes to Tampa. They had not even made the playoffs in 15 years before he got there. Owes them nothing. Got them a Super Bowl. So it's kind of to me like he never took the big contracts in New England. That money is still forever gone. So I hate Brady. Don't get me wrong. So I hate backing him up here. But it just not as much as Jimmy G hates backing him up. But it just seems to me, you know, hey, I did everything the right way. I did it all. I'm just checking a few things off the list before I go.
The hired gun, you know.
Yeah.
Peyton went to Denver and won a second Super Bowl. He's like, I can go to a third team. I think that's in his mind. I think that's his challenge. He's like, I could do this with San Fran. Watch.
I guess looking at that, you know, Peyton. I mean, he left because he got cut from the Colts and then went to Denver.
Well,
right?
you had a neck injury too.
Yeah, exactly. Brady, free agent, right? Left, went to go to Tampa. No argument there. I don't know. I'm just me leaving because Tampa still. If he goes back to Tampa, I mean, he still got a chance.
Are they close?
He won't go back. Huh? He won't go back to Tampa.
I'm saying, as far as if you're talking about Super Bowl titles, right, or chances to win the Super Bowl, right? I would pick if Brady go back to Tampa. I would pick Tampa over San Francisco.
Let's before we even get there. If AB would have stuck in Tampa this year, is Brady is Brady in the Super Bowl, or you know,
right. Or I mean, because you're right, because because you remember, right? We was talking about Tampa. Tampa returned all the 22 starters, right? And then the next thing you know, this year Chris Godwin got hurt, right? AB went, he got out, you know, didn't take his medicine, right? And so then now what happened to the Rams was now happening to Brady as far as offensive weapons not there really no more, you know, deplete, you know, other than, you know, he had Mike Evans and that was it, you know.
What if this comes full circle? AB left New England, followed Brady. Just hear me out.
Brady ain't gonna take it.
One off season of rehabilitation. Look, he got the job in California. AB works in California with Kanye West.
He's working with a guy who had no face on at the game.
What if he's catching touchdowns in San Francisco from Tom Brady next year?
No way. They don't need him.
Crazier things have happened.
They got Debo.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, definitely, because when you look at San Francisco, you talking about they don't need him. You talking about they don't need who? AB?
Yeah, the Niners don't need him, do they?
I don't think he's worth the drama anymore, man.
Right.
I think that shit.
At minimum.
But they do need another receiver though. They need another guy go to established receiver. So to me, they definitely need that. You know, they got a tight end. They got
Kittle.
They got Kittle. They got Debo. You know, they're gonna have a great running game because the head coach committed to get it done. You know, they start running back was out, and then they had another guy. And
they got a lights out defense.
AKA wide back, you know, Debo, who can get in there. So, I mean, they're there in that regards, you know. But I just think Tampa. I don't know. I think who's a better fit right now? I think Tampa, if they return everybody, I think they're a better fit. They got a better chance to win it than San Fran.
Tampa's in an easier division. I mean, by far.
That's
Atlanta's
for sure.
going to be Atlanta next year. New Orleans
is a mess. Yes.
Carolina
question mark.
It's an easier path through Tampa. There's no doubt about that.
Because right now, right, who we thought was the better team, like who we thought should have won out of Tampa and it was Tampa and the Rams. Never mind.
Right.
Well, I mean, Tampa should have beat the Rams.
Right. Well, they played in the regular season and San Francisco won, didn't they?
No, they played. I think they played the Rams and the Rams beat them, but then in the playoff, right? They beat Rams, beat Tampa again. I don't know if
I don't know if San Fran and the Bucks played this year. It's a good question.
Yeah.
The other weird thing is playing as far as playing hot potatoes. The Tampa's talking about trading for Russ from Seattle.
They won't put
Russ
They won't put him in the conference.
Yeah, that's my man. Jack, what's up, Jack? Jack was asking that question. What you think would happen?
Keep Russell.
If Brady needs some motivation, I just know that that's his hometown and that's his backyard. And the idea of winning it with a third team, that's the kind of thing that drives a guy like that. That's
why did he sign a 2-year deal?
With Tampa or with
a 3-year deal?
I don't know.
You would have thought he would have done a series of 1-year deals like LeBron.
Well, I think also it's avoidable too. I think the contract year they use avoidable option. They redid it this past year. They put avoidable on there, so I don't know if he pull it up and see about his contract.
Cap hit, maybe.
Maybe it might have been.
Yeah,
right out cap,
cap stuff. So say it again.
It was a cap
maybe
hit.
The cap hit, yeah.
So they made some adjustments to his salary just so they can bring everybody back,
Because they're talking about Fournette going to the Dolphins now.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this question. We talked about for our Super Bowl based on these two teams, do we think the Rams can repeat? Do we think they can make it back to the Super Bowl, and do we think Cincinnati can they make it back? I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Double-A? Or you think the Rams can make it back?
I think the Rams definitely can. They obviously going to have to go find another receiver now, because I don't know.
Even though with OBJ been here, they got what's his name coming back off injury.
They got him coming back.
Robert Woods.
I think it was Robert. They could have used him yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
So I forgot about that.
They didn't have their tight end either. Their tight end Higsby was out. But they over the cap? And
that's the problem.
Von Miller and OBJ obviously free agents, so they got, and then their left tackle 40 years old Wentworth, he's free agent as well. So they got some cap issues and stuff like that. I mean, can they come back? You said you think so, Double?
It's tough to after you've had a sip of the champagne and to get that motivation. I mean that's why when your head coach is telling you at 36 he's feeling burnt out, and that's a natural feeling to have right now. It's going to be a tough climb, man. Everything's got to line up right for them, and a lot of listen, Stafford doesn't chuck that ball against Tampa in the last 2 minutes. They're not at that game either, So there's a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas. I think Cincinnati's got a better outlook going forward because they're a younger team with a younger quarterback, and probably they're in a tough division too. Baltimore, Pittsburgh,
exactly.
Pittsburgh won't be Pittsburgh next year. Cleveland's Cleveland.
Cleveland's a mess. There's no doubt that they still don't have a head on that chicken. There's no doubt.
And you know what? It's an interesting dichotomy, not just that OBJ went from Cleveland to LA, but look at the two different examples of all-star team building in the NFL. The right way to do it, the wrong way to do it. Cleveland, honestly, their worst year last year, they had, good gosh, they went and got OBJ. They had Landry. They were studded everywhere and lost. And then or the year before last, I should say. Sorry, when they started the All-Star experiment, right. And then look how LA did it, and I think it comes back to the centerpiece.
That's what I can't understand. Even Cleveland, they were talking about trading Mayfield for Cousins. I'm like, Cousins has had all the talent in Minnesota and did nothing with it. Well, what do you think he's going to do in Cleveland?
You know what's wild is Kirk Cousins had a great year and nobody knows. He did. Statistically, he had a fantastic season, like a near MVP. Look at his numbers in Aaron Rodgers, and you're going to be kind of surprised. But it's just consistency. But I think Cousins is safer than Mayfield. He won't throw that dumb pick, but he won't wow you. Baker Mayfield's got a few wows per year that keep making people think next year's the year. But
I see Cincinnati, San Diego battling it out next year.
Where's San Diego? What team?
There's so many LA teams. They're still the Chargers to me.
So Double A. So you feel like the Rams can make it back? You feel like both teams can make it back? The Rams, and you'll put Bengals and Chargers.
I think it's going to be a tough sled for the Rams. I think a lot of things had to go right for them this year, and I think that they, getting Stafford was what put them over the top. Are they a team? Are they a dynasty team? I don't know. I think they got Stafford at the end of what with this model that he built. Because a couple of years ago you had the running game, you had the loaded defense. You thought Jared Goff was enough. Now they're a little bit of they're an old team.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What about you, Jason? What's your thoughts? Do you think the Rams can repeat? You think the Bengals can come back to the Super Bowl as well?
I think they can repeat differently. I think the Bengals are going to be far more well equipped. They're under the cap, younger, cheaper. I think that, and you got Gronk openly advertising that he would like to come play with Joe Burrow, which who knows what effect that'll have. But I think you got some free agency, benefits you probably never had before. They still don't have an indoor practice facility. Can't forget that. They still have arguably top 5 worst ownership in the league from an investment in the team and in a tiny market. You're not going to have a bunch of blah, blah, blah. So they still got all the negatives. But now free agents, instead of going Cincinnati, they're like, Cincinnati. They used to be the island of misfit toys. Used to be Vontaze Burfict, Adam Pac-Man. If you need a chance in the league and they, that's where you go, they can get some top-tier free agents now.
I think it's a tougher run to go through the AFC, whether it's Kansas City if they refigure out a defense. Exactly. But going back to the Rams, the NFC is weak. You're now looking at a Green Bay team without Aaron Rodgers most likely, right?
Right.
So who in the NFC even scares you at this point?
Yeah, and that's my. I was thinking the same thing. Double A, the AFC, right? With obviously, I agree with you. The Bengals is definitely up and coming team. Obviously, they made the Super Bowl right now. And they still, fix up the O line, get some more depth at DBs. You know what I'm saying? They definitely got a great foundation to continue to build on. But the competition in the AFC. Man, you talking about just quarterbacks alone? You got Buffalo Bills. With
Buffalo, I was gonna say,
you got Kansas City, like you said, if they get that right.
San Diego.
You got the Rams, right? With the Herbert. You
St.
got
Louis
so
Rams.
many.
The St. Louis Rams.
Right? You got so many top quarterbacks you got to deal with right now. The AFC definitely it seemed like a tougher road. Because as opposed to the NFC, now Brady's semi-retired, right? And question mark with Aaron Rodgers, and then even now with Kyler Murray out, you don't know what he's trying to do. So,
right.
And Jimmy G may be out of the NFC. So, and Cousin may be gone as well. So who? So
just think about
NFC. Huh?
If Brady goes to the 49ers, they're the prohibitive favorite,
without a doubt.
Yeah, so I think that flips it on its head. But one interesting thing I was just sitting there thinking about, Buffalo's beat LA by 40. I think if the Buffalo Bills were in that Super Bowl against the team that played last night, it's the Bills by 50.
Yeah.
So just imagine what Buffalo would have put on LA in front of the country last night. So I completely agree. It's AFC is a murderer's row. And it's weird because it was the opposite
for so many years.
Yeah.
So that's wild.
Yeah, no doubt. No, that's definitely well said. All right, man, it's 7:00 now. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we head out?
I'm good. The only thing we can mention is those Canes and Zach Thomas from Miami being snubbed by the Hall of Fame committee. But besides that,
go ahead, Double. Get it off your chest.
It doesn't make sense to me. There's plenty of good guys that got in there, and I agree with them all. To this day, I thought Cliff Branch was already in there, but I'm happy he's in there. I'm happy Dick Vermeil's in there. Every guy there earned it, but for the best special teams kick returner of all time not to be in there as a first ballot as far as Devin, for Reggie Wayne, who was insane playing with Peyton Manning, and Andre put up some crazy numbers in Houston. It just happened to be Houston, so maybe that's why it ain't first ballot. I'll give you that. And then there's a fourth guy who won't have the stats, but the Patriots don't win as many Super Bowls without him, and that's Vince Wilfork. Richard Seymour just got in, but Vince didn't even get to the finalists. So I mean that guy plugged up more nose tackles than since I don't know who.
Right.
Do you think part of that problem is the same problem as the NFL MVP voting, same problem as the Heisman voting, in the standpoint of, one, why is it restricted to legacy media and sports writers? And two, just the reason why the wrong Heisman winner happens, same reason why the wrong NFL MVP happens, you have to have your voting in too soon. And I think the voting should be right up until, right after championship weekend. Worst case, you miss yourself. Somebody separated themselves with a great Super Bowl, but that's one game. The voting needs to be after championship weekend. There's a week off before the Super Bowl. It's when it's announced anyway. And you need to open it up to not just sports writers. And I think some of those people would have gotten there.
And I think you make a good point to come back to the Super Bowl game and why Kupp's the MVP over Donald, Mike. And this guy put up the Triple Crown this year. He led the league in receptions, yardage, and touchdown. That's no joke. That's Jerry Rice type of stuff. So if he should have gotten the MVP over Rodgers, as far as I'm concerned. So I think they made it up for giving it to him in the Super Bowl, and he did enough to earn it, obviously.
Why was Rodgers the MVP? Why? If we're being honest, why? Joe Burrow outplayed him for sure.
Same reason half this country hated the halftime show.
Well, I mean, when you talk about stats, hold on. Now you're talking about Joe Burrow did not play him as far as regular season is concerned. Right. I'm talking about as far as the numbers don't dictate that, right? Statistically, statistically, Aaron Rodgers, because I was looking at what you were talking about earlier. Aaron Rodgers led the league in passer rating, had the lowest interception rating, right? Number 1 seed Green Bay. They just didn't get it done in the playoff, Right. They did. He had the numbers to justify, as far as from a quarterback standpoint, that out of the quarterbacks, he deserved.
He was legit. There's no doubt.
But
unfortunately,
if you had to start a game, who you starting?
Huh?
If you had, he only threw 3. He threw 3 more touchdowns, but he threw 10 less picks and 400 less yards than Joe Burrow. But if you're playing a game, you get one of them. You putting Joe Burrow or Aaron Rodgers in?
Ooh, I don't know. I still get the nod to Aaron. I love what Joe is doing, and I want to see what Joe does with even more. I think with even more protection. Like if he had like the time Matthew Stafford had to throw, and the receivers he got, it'd have been a problem, right? Yeah. I just still think Aaron is doing more with less as well. I just think Aaron, you got Devontae Adams, right? And
Joe's got Chase.
Other than that, that's all you got.
Right.
But he's got a really bad playoff record. He's 1 game above 500, and he's one and done more than almost anybody else. So,
yeah. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm not ready. I love Joe Burrow, but I'm not ready to crown him. I'm not ready to crown him over Aaron Rodgers just yet.
Well, I will say though, but if you look, a lot of people had a bet. Patrick Mahomes had a better year in every category except for interceptions than Aaron Rodgers. That's it. Except for rating. But he threw for 800 more yards. Matthew Stafford threw for 800 more yards. Justin Herbert threw for 1,000 more yards. All of these people more.
What did Josh Allen do?
Josh Allen threw for 200 more yards, 3 more touchdowns, but a lot more interceptions. So really, he had a year where they threw interceptions. But all of those teams won more than him. So, or as much as him. None of those guys except for Herbert.
In hindsight, it shows you how much harder the AFC is than that NFC is right now.
Yeah.
So he won the MVP.
I wouldn't. You saying that you'll take who over Aaron Rodgers?
Anybody?
Or
no. Okay.
You're saying that they should have won. Like you said, who's?
I said Coop should have been the MVP. What he did as a receiver was Jerry Rice level. That's all I was saying.
But it's biased, right? When they said, well, non-quarterback MVP, right? It's like, what is that? So right off the bat, MVP, right? Quarterback's gonna have an upper leg, man.
Always.
It almost feel like the Rooney Rule, man.
I would say here's how I would put it. In a court of law, all you got to do is convince a jury of your peers. I can win that case staying in his position group. I can win that case with 5 other quarterbacks. You could easily.
How? Okay.
He just gave it
okay. Well, maybe do some research, right? Do
I'm
some research, prepare your case, and then next week we're gonna talk about that. All right.
Well, I'll go ahead and give you're the defense, I'm the prosecutor. I'm gonna give you some advantage reason why. Because every quarterback has better stats except for, and that's even from more success, except for more interceptions. That's the only thing that got him. Because less interceptions drove up his rating.
Do they have a strength of schedule metric in there?
Because they blow him out of the water too. Then
yeah, that's the
bro.
key.
When you count the regular season, right? They're the number 1 team, the number 1 seed in NFC, right?
So is Tennessee,
and he's got the top quarterback rating. So you're talking that quarterback rating, right? You want how you manage the games, stat wise, whatnot, whatever, right? It's not all about the stats. Remember, we had this discussion about Tom Brady, right, and his greatness, right?
Right.
Okay, and 4-time MVP now, right? And I mean, and then like other than Devontae Adams, I mean, to me he does more with less. He makes guys around him better.
In a way that you're gonna love it. You're gonna love how I'm about to tie that back around.
Yeah. But I want it. That's what I'm saying. That we go ahead. We'll do a little appetizer, but we can talk about this next week.
Well, you know what the flip side to what you just said about all of his success, number 1 seed, blah blah blah. That's why did all those Clemson quarterbacks not win the Heisman? Oh, they're in the ACC. Oh, so Aaron Rodgers, number 1 seed, all this success in the decidedly weaker conference, and then he just immediately lost. So same thing, all he did was throw less interceptions. All these other quarterbacks have more yards, more touchdowns, and more success against harder teams. They just threw less.
I don't know. I don't know. Because I mean, a healthy Tampa Bay, right? Healthy defense, Tampa Bay. I mean, I don't know. I would put them up against anybody.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about Aaron Rodgers. Are you just talking about the fact that?
But I'm just saying weaker conference. I'm talking about the weaker conference thing. I don't know.
Yeah, but but listen to that groan you had before you said that.
No. I know because I'm kind of like double talk because we mentioned about the AFC earlier, and we like highlighted all the top quarterbacks they have, and so I've been kind of drunk on that, especially with the playoff and how everything been going and the duel between the Chiefs and the Bills, and all that. But so it's kind of like I'm double talking, putting my foot in my mouth. Then I'm talking, But
I mean, you think about it. San Fran went up to Lambeau and on the frozen night and shut them down and beat them with Jimmy G. That's crazy.
LA would have beat them by 20. Tampa would have beat them by 30. That's how the way they played that night. They did nothing. They did nothing that game, and that's on Aaron Rodgers. Because I think MP made a great point. Whenever somebody would drop a pass, he would never come back to him. Aaron Rodgers, I think, really lost that game, in my opinion. I mean, I think that there's just.
I think that's a good conversation because wherever he winds up next year, if because obviously he's going, does he go to Tennessee? Does that make that AFC? Now Tennessee's in that conversation. They were already one with Tannehill, or and you still have Indy there with a lot of talent, looking for a quarterback. So
it seems to be trending towards him staying lately. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I've seen that.
If I were his manager and from a brand standpoint, I would say, dude, stick where you are. Don't screw it up. You're never gonna pay for dinner in this town, this state. What is there? No, but the guy did a lot of negative stuff for his brand this year that they love him. That you don't know if you're going to find that love everywhere else around this country.
Brett Favre, he don't live there in the offseason. Don't forget that. Brett Favre can go back and eat in Green Bay anytime he wants.
It took some time for that.
Yeah, so I agree, but I don't think anybody wants to retire in Wisconsin. So I think I don't know. I think he's staying just because he's finding out the ability to force his hand, can turn ugly. I think he wasn't bluffing, but I don't think he's willing to let it get ugly. You know what I mean? Because he wants to host Jeopardy. He doesn't want to be that guy. I don't think he's willing to get muddy. I think he's just willing to, I want it. Please give it to me. You better give it to, okay, fine. Like, I don't think you think he'll just not play if he don't get traded?
No, I mean, based on his cap situation, I mean, he forced it. They got to do something with him. I mean, he's like 40 million on the cap. That's why he redid his contract the way he did it. So they can't just keep him with that number. They wouldn't be able to fill the team, You know what I'm saying? So he's got the leverage. He got the leverage to force their hand as far as making a trade them.
I think they would just not pay Adams and cut who they got. If you're Green Bay and you think they don't have to, because if they don't play, they don't have to pay him. So he could actually force his own hand, right?
But if he got the cap. If he don't, they still got to carry that cap.
Even if he's not playing.
Yeah, he's on the contract. But
if he's sitting out, I think
he have to retire.
I think you got to carry that, man.
Even if a player is refusing to play, it hits your cap.
Yeah, I think so. I think it does.
I'm sure Deshaun was on Houston's roster all this year.
Let's double check.
They kept him off the field. He went on to the commissioner exempt list. It was a little different. I think if a player is willfully holding out, I think there would have to be. Otherwise, a player could double hold a team. I mean, you'd really be holding them hostage twice. That's an even bigger.
You had what's the name? Cap was he was getting paid though. Deshaun Watson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's a whole different situation.
I think it's got to not count because you could. Now he doesn't have a gun to their head; he's got a bazooka. He's like, "I'll take your season away if you don't trade me." If that's true, if he can sit out, I'm happy for him. Good, that would be the. I don't think that's possible. There's no way the NFL would build in their own nuclear option against him.
All I know is the idea of Brady going to San Fran has got to kill him. That you want to talk about who that burns the most? It's him.
Still Jimmy G, right?
Nah. It's Rodgers, man.
Well, but San Fran's not even possible for Aaron. It's not even on the agenda.
That would be his dream, just going back to because he's a Cal Berkeley guy. But Brady's San Mateo, born and raised.
But has anybody confirmed? I mean, because doesn't he have the grudge against San Francisco for skipping him, or
He does, and I think all the other political stuff, I think really nulls it out. But I have no idea. Yeah. So.
Yeah. That's interesting, but hey, I'll prepare my case. You gonna be the public defender, MB?
Yeah.
Hey,
I'll be the judge.
I'm reading this. It says, here's what they say about the cap. It said the only players that do not account against the salary cap are players who are on one of the NFL exempt lists. So we gotta do some more research on that.
Yeah. But do you agree that changes it from a gun to their head to a bazooka in their head? Because now he can be like, I'll not play and still take up half your money. There has to be some back end. Like I know the article you just looked up, but they could not have been thinking of that type of special situation. If a player sits out, do they count against the cap?
Well, I'm gonna put it this way, right? But think about this, and we'll figure that question out, right? But you're talking about all season, right? So say right now he's like, y'all got to trade me. So now I know. They ain't got to report. The season doesn't start to September. Right. So now they got to his number count, right? Because he can report any time the whole off season. So you got this big number. You got to work around 44 million, whatever it is, and you can't really sign anybody
because he's still on it.
You see what I'm saying? Because the off season you on the books. Say until we figure out the other part. This off season, they gotta work around the number that he not redoing his deal, his cap number count, and so you limit it based on that. So now you're affecting the off season as far as can I franchise Devontae Adams? Can I do that? That's why he said that he was going to make his decision, so it won't affect Devontae, so he won't hold him hostage. But he really could jack up their all-season signing if this thing linger on like it did last year.
So it says here, well, I know this is different, but players that opted out for COVID still got paid, but did not count against the salary cap. I know that's different.
COVID's different.
Right. The opposing view is if once a player holds out 10 games, obviously you lose the accrued season, then they don't count against the salary cap that year. So it's almost like it's a built-in, you get the first 10, and then you won't. But by that point, the season's lost.
The season's lost, and their team is in disarray, and it's
a
debacle
that's a whole
at that
different
point.
Thing with the whole COVID.
Right.
But we're saying, like, I know for sure though, right? If he did what he did last year, right, and didn't report until training camp, and they didn't know he was reporting. Right now, his cap number's on there until the season starts. So all they can do is say during training camp is fine him if he don't come, right? Then once the season starts, then that's when they can say they can make a decision, right? But his number is gonna count.
Yeah.
And it would count all season. That's how they building a team. And so right now, the cap number, their cap is bad right now.
Yeah, they got to do something sooner than later.
It's bad. They got some questions. It's not New Orleans bad, right? But it's bad in regards to they trying to improve the team. They got his cap number. They need to do something with his contract in order to sign players and re-sign and make moves and build a team.
Yeah, that definitely turns it from a.
That's the main point I'm saying.
I think it goes back to the original conversation: is do the Rams and/or the 49ers? They have a nice, easy path back to the Super Bowl next year, wherever it is. Because I think the rest of the NFC is a mess. We know the NFC East is a mess. The NFC South is a mess. There ain't no hope on the horizon there. So
NFC North's about to be a mess.
Right. Even Lamar's a year older and more banged up, until they ever get him some receiver help. So
who takes a step forward? What team would you say is close to taking a step forward?
It's whoever wins the lottery for Rodgers between Tennessee and Indianapolis.
Tennessee not in it, man. They said they see with Tannehill, man. They can't afford it because I guess their contract, they really can't.
So they're out. So Indianapolis is, is Ursay, but he's coming over to the NFC. Is Carolina a quarterback away? Come on, really? At this point,
defense,
okay.
Top 5. Okay. They are somehow.
All right.
That's another year of McCaffrey glass,
Okay. All right. So next week, man, we're gonna talk about what we
the off season.
MVP, right?
Court case.
MVP. Did Aaron Rodgers? Should there be well, you say other quarterbacks besides Aaron Rodgers should have won it, right?
I can win the case.
Only argument I heard, legitimate argument, was Tom Brady, but you say you're going to present to the court that you got, 3 or 4 other candidates.
He's got 5 in the AFC.
5 in the AFC alone.
If it may please the court, yeah.
All right, and we'll talk about that, and we'll see what else we talk about. But
all right,
man, guys, I appreciate you, man. It's Valentine's Day, man.
Peace.
We better go do some more. Well, I know we did a lot already. But I appreciate you guys coming on, man. Y'all have a good one now.
Thank you. Same to you, Mike.
From Sideline to Baseline, we out. Peace.